Monica turns to the driver of the car and says that he has always been the best customer, and the man asks if next week was it scheduled again at the same time. She confirms and asks if he would come get her. He confirms and delivers 200 reis, saying he wanted her beautiful for him. The young woman agrees and says that she would buy that lingerie he had liked and says goodbye, saying until next time. Crossing the street, Monica hears her cell phone ringing and answers it, so she greets the person on the other end of the line and waits to talk what she wanted to do with her. The man on the other end of the line introduces himself as Dr. Paulo, as Laura's doctor, and asks if he was talking to Monica, his patient's sister. She confirms and, worried, asks if something had happened to her little sister. Paulo reassures her, saying that Laura was just wanting to talk to her a little and if Monica could answer. Calmer, the older sister agrees and the doctor passes the cell phone to the sister. Monica greets her sister and, emotional, asks how she was. Laura greets her and says she misses her and asks where she was. The older sister says she missed her too, but doesn't answer where she was, already asking Laura if the nurses were treating her well. The little sister says that everyone there treated her very well. Monica, happy to hear this, says that she needs to go back to work to get the money for her surgery, but that she would visit her. Laura says that she had a little fever and body aches, but they would pass soon. Getting emotional, Monica says that if she could, she would change places with her and denies that she was crying, saying that everything was fine and that now she needed to hang up. And Laura on the other end of the line says goodbye, saying that he loved her very much. One day while walking, Monica is stopped by Danny, who was looking for her to talk to. She greets the woman asking if everything was okay. Danny starts to say that it was not all right with the money Monica owed her, as she thought everything was fine and she wanted her money. The young woman says that she knew and would get her money, but it was difficult now and there was no way to pay her. Danny explains that she has 2 months, that Monica was making the same excuse and says that she was not obliged to wait for her and she had asked for a month to pay and she already has 2 and said she would charge interest. Monica says that she understood her because she had promised that she would pay her in a month, but in fact her sister was sick and the money she got is to cover the expenses. Danny says that it had nothing to do with her personal life and already was full of problems to absorb other people's problems. She needed her money and asks the young woman how the situation would turn out. Monica asks for another month, promising that she will pay her. The older woman agrees, saying that she only had 1 month and that if Monica didn't pay her, things would get ugly. Later, Monica alone, wondering what would she do with her life, asking God to help her, mumbling about her poor sister who only felt pain every day and couldn't stand to see her in that situation anymore, that if she could, she would transfer Laura's pain for her. The young woman asks God to send a light because this was not the life her mother had chosen for her. Continuing the prayer, Monica, already wanting to give up everything in life, but she couldn't have had to continue to take care of her little sister, asks for a direction to help her solve these problems. Meanwhile, a car starts to slow down as the driver looks up and mutters about meeting Monica. As soon as she notices the car gets up and goes towards her to continue the fight, when she leans in the passenger window, Monica greets the driver, but strange when the man calls her by her name without her having introduced herself, she questions how did he know her name. The gentleman explains that he was Mayara's father, a school friend of hers, so he hears what the man said. Monica says she remembered her, but asks what her colleague's father was doing there. The gentleman explains that this was the way he went when he went to work and he always passes by there and he had seen her there, and remembered her. Her ex-colleague's father asks her to come in so they can talk a little and Monica agrees. Once inside the car, Monica, embarrassed, says that it was not for nothing, but asks if he would pay her, because she needed money. He tells her that she would pay her and asks to take a walk to talk. The gentleman starts to say that he remembered that Monica was a very studious girl and asks what had happened for her to fall into that life. The brunette explains that her sister was very sick and was in the hospital and needed a surgery that was very expensive and their health plan didn't cover it, and she says that in the end he knew. He questions if her parents knew she worked with this to earn money. Monica informs him that her parents had died in an accident 5 years ago and now she was responsible for her sister and didn't have the heart to tell Laura that she worked as a call girl because it was too embarrassing and her sister would be very disappointed in her, but it was the only way I could afford the treatment. The man says he understood her situation and said he wanted to help her in some way, but he wanted to help her by knowing her and being friends with his daughter, and if she didn't mind he would help. He begins to explain to the young woman that she had a friend who was a surgeon, and contacted him making sure that friend would help, as she owed him some favors, and whatever he could do he would go for help. Not believing what was said, Monica asks if he would really do that for her, and when he has confirmation, he says that it was logical that he would accept. Happy for the young woman to have accepted, the gentleman says that if necessary they would do new exams on her sister and he would help her in some way, because he had seen her and had remembered a lot of the time when Monica studied with his daughter, and had a very high regard for her and would help them the most, and it only depended on them, and tells them to go after what was available. Monica tells her ex-colleague's father that she was very happy and he had no idea how grateful she was, and asks how was Mayara. The father informs that his daughter had died 3 years ago, but he had seen her sitting there and had remembered the past, and he liked her very much and wanted to be able to help her in some way. Surprised by the news of his friend, he apologizes for the question, as he did not know that Mayara had passed away because she had not been in touch for a long time. He gets Monica's attention, saying that's the next thing, that he would help her, but she had to promise that she would get out of that life. That what he didn't want for his daughter he didn't want for her, and that's why he wanted help and asks her again to promise that he wouldn't continue in this life, because this really wasn't the life of a worthy person. Monica looks and shakes his hand saying that it was agreed, she would try to get out of that life. While they shook hands, Mayara's father says to trust in God that everything would work out, and asks to move on for them to go there and take care of the sister. The gentleman waves and starts the car for them to take the first step to help Laura and for Monica to get out of that life.